What's up, Penguin Nation? Welcome back. We got our first Coach's Corner with the skipper of the Youngstown State baseball team. It's Coach Bertolini back in action here on YSN. It's been a while, Coach. It's glad to have you back here on the network.
Yeah, absolutely. Exciting times. Glad we have that multi-year partnership with YSN. Looking forward to catching you and on the road here and being with us all season long.
It's going to be another fun season. We got a big weekend coming up against the Fighting Illini and the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. But before we get into play and previewing this weekend, let's talk a little bit about the offseason. There was a lot of moves with this team. You had some leadership that left, especially in the pitching staff, and you always have to restock for the next season. So talk about some of the guys that you were able to bring in to this upcoming class that are freshmen, also some transfers that are coming in to your program.
Well, I think it starts. The pitching staff's going to start with, our guys that have some experience. So obviously Travis Perry is probably our most experienced pitcher. Being a fifth-year starter, he's going to get the ball on Friday. And, I think there's some young guys that got some action last year that have really developed. Brandon Mikos, Lane Rhodes, Nick Perez has got a little bit. He's got a lot of experience. He's been a starter and a reliever for us. And then you kind of turn over to the back end. You have Casey Marshowitz, who's a fourth-year guy. You have Pat Gumto, who's a transfer from Cal PA that's, got a lot of saves in his career, and he's had a great career at Cal. You're going to lean heavy on those guys. And then, we had some good young guys come in on the pitching staff. I think it's a very talented group. When you add in Braden Gebhardt, who he's had a great fall and gives us some left-handed look. I think he'll get a lot of action early. Him and Brandon Anderson have probably been the two best from the young guys. They'll probably get some opportunities early. Cam Marshowitz has looked pretty good. You have Kenny Missick, who's a fourth-year guy now that's got a lot of experience, is finally fully healthy. So looking forward to kind of seeing how that develops on the pitching staff.
First Pitch Breakfast is always one of the biggest events for your program. Brings in so much money for Youngstown State baseball. You brought in another legend, like you do every single year, a Hall of Famer in the MLB and Andre Dawson, and then you bring in another local product with the umpire that was in the major leagues and Brian Onora. Talk about that event a little bit. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there. DJ and I were, living it up in Vegas. So talk about the event and how much that really means to your program to raise some money.
It was an unbelievable event for us. Just being around so many wonderful people, and we've had so many great speakers come in and do this for us for our first pitch. And Andre Dawson was unbelievable to be around a Hall of Fame guy, and for him to be as humble as he was, and just generally just a really good person. And Brian Honora has been, we've gotten pretty close in the last couple of years. He did a few inter-squad scrimmages for us in the fall a couple years ago, and even into the springtime. And he's been wonderful for us. He's donated a lot of things, memorabilia and different things for us to auction. And I thought he had some awesome stories. So that event has really turned into one of the bigger events here at Youngstown State. And for us to raise, we probably raised close to $30,000 for the baseball program this year, which is outstanding, and just shows how much support we have from our alumni, from our boosters, and just our overall supporters. So, it's really important for us. And it, our online auctions and our live auctions, it was probably the best year we've ever had from that standpoint. So it was overall a great success and a great way for us to kick off the 2023 season.
Out of the auction, I know obviously you can't take anything home, but was there one item that you were looking at and you're like, man, if I was a fan, I would really want to take this item away from this auction?
Oh, there was so many. I mean, there was a trip to Costa Rica. There was, a trip to the Broadmoor. We had autographed jerseys, and I was bidding on some things in our side. So yeah, I like that Salvador Perez jersey. We had a Bo Jackson ball, a George Brett bat. So there's some great Penguin memorabilia. We had a red glove on there with Pete on it that fans were really enthused about, and so we're just happy. And those going online was big for us. It's a little easier to be competitive online. You're not afraid. I'm going to win that thing. So, we probably doubled our total from our silent auction in the past to this year. So it was big for our program.
I know the fans around the valley are really excited to see this team in action coming up this week. Friday, first pitch at noon against Illinois, and then you get right back on the diamond. Hopefully, if the weather holds up at 4 o'clock, and you take on a top 10 team in the country in Wake Forest. But when you were putting together this schedule, and obviously your approach that this was going to be a kind of a 3-team tournament from Friday through Sunday, what were your thoughts on that? Because Illinois is a team last year that won 31 games. Wake Forest had one of their best seasons in over 5 years, winning 41 games. So you knew that these were going to be two high-quality teams, and kind of talk about how this all came together with the 3-team format.
Yeah, originally Niagara was supposed to be in this tournament as well. So we were going to get 3 games, one against each team. And that kind of something happened there in the scheduling. As you know, scheduling in our baseball is crazy. So, we're fortunate. We always play good teams. That's important to us. We want to challenge our guys and give our players a great opportunity to compete against the best. We ultimately want to go to Omaha, and, you want to win a Horizon League championship. And in order to do that, you're going to have to beat some really good teams in our conference. And then, obviously outside the conference. So, it's going to give us a great opportunity to get down there and see kind of what we have, where we're at as a team. And I'm really excited about the opportunity to do that. So, we have a lot of respect for both these programs. Wake Forest is, I think they're preseason number 5 in the country. They got a lot of returners and got some great guys on the mound. And, Illinois got a lot of guys returning. They're probably a little bit less experienced than Wake Forest, but anytime you can play teams in the Big Ten, the ACC, you're going to be in for dogfights. And, we're excited though, because we're just tired of beating up on each other. It's going to be good out and play somebody else. And for us, honestly, this has been the best year we've ever had as far as weather. So, we've been outside probably more days this year than I've been out in my whole career here. So looking forward to getting out there, and hopefully that experience in this fall, in this off-season portion will really help, our acclimation to the game.
Yeah, you said it. Wake Forest is one of the best pitchers in the country, one of the top 5 pitchers in the MLB draft projections coming up, and Rhett Lauder, who was the ACC Pitcher of the Year last year. They also got another guy in Teddy McGraw, who's a top 40 prospect in the recent draft projection. So for your squad, you've been inside a lot. They've been outside playing all year. You're going to face guys at a very high level in the first day, most likely. What are some things that you want to see from your guys at the plate? You might not get as many hits as you want in the first game of the year, but what do you really want to see out of them in that first game?
Well, opening up, we're going to open up with Illinois. So we got to stay focused on, playing Illinois and being ready to compete against them, because they have a couple really talented arms on the mound that, we're going to have to stay disciplined in the strike zone from an offensive perspective. And, we're going to have to hit pitches that we can do damage at, and try to drive some pitch counts up and be able to execute, at a high level. Really things that we've talked about all year is, having a great 2-strike approach, being selfless, being able to have team at bats, and, stay inside of our game, not try to do too much, not try to hit, home runs all over the place, let those things kind of happen, and just stay within ourselves. And, I'm sure there'll be some jitters, just like any other, the other teams that we're going to be playing. It's opening day, so it's going to be exciting, but I feel like this is a very mature team. Especially on the offense, we have so many guys that are returning. I mean, there's an opportunity to start 7 guys that are in their 4th year or later, from a position player standpoint. So that experience will really help. Just they've been through this. This is their 4th or 5th opening day. Some guys 6th opening day. So it's nothing new. They're not gonna, they as they say, they put their pants on just like us, and we're just playing another team regardless of their. What the preseason's saying, or what the previews from all the different publications are saying. They gotta go out there and put their 9 out there, and so do we. And we look forward to going out there and competing against those guys.
Talking about the experience that you guys have offensively, one of the coolest storylines I think in the league is that you have 2 brothers playing on the same team for a couple years, with Braden and Pat O'Shaughnessy. Seeing those guys grow up together, and they both have great personalities off the field. What's it been like coaching them Braden, of course, last year had a really good year, breakout season. First team All Horizon League, batted over 350. And then Pat, a guy that just gets on base, led the Horizon League in walks last season. What's it been like coaching them, and how fun has that been with their personalities that they kind of jive together?
Yeah, they're funny because they're pretty much complete opposites. They both work really hard though, and that's what's been super special about having both of them as part of it. And just kind of seeing, especially for Braden being a freshman, coming in 2020 and having the impact that he did. And he kind of waited his turn, and as talented as he was, there were some really good players here, and so I think that helped him to kind of learn and grow, and he's really developed into a special type of player. In my opinion, I told him I thought he should have been Horizon League Player of the Year last year, but really carried us throughout all of 2022, and he's special because things just don't seem to bother him much. He plays very much here. He's super competitive, but he's pretty even keeled. The game is really easy for him. So, hopefully he can continue that. He's done a great job from a leadership standpoint, him and Pad. And, Pad, I think, struggled at times last year. He was playing with a really, injured knee for most of the season. I think it really affected him on his day to day, just his mobility, the way he was able to swing. He's healthy now, and he's had a great, whatever you want to call it, spring training, I guess, up to this point. So, I think we're going to lean on him a lot to be a middle of the order hitter and be a leader. He's really helped, him and Steve have really taken great leadership roles. So, it's funny because we have two sets of brothers on this team, Vince and Steve, and then Pat and Bray. So it's pretty unique to be able to coach guys. They have great chemistry between all of them. Sometimes they fight like they're brothers, but it's pretty special to be able to coach them.
We got three now, right? With Marshowitz too.
Oh yeah, and Marshowitz, geez,
brothers.
And the brothers, yeah, my fault. Yeah, we have Marshowitz's too. So to have three sets of brothers on the team is really special.
Well, the coaching staff has been a pivotal point for you because what you've done in the last couple of years to really turn around this program back-to-back years with over 20 wins in a season. Your pitching staff with Shane Davis has been phenomenal the last couple of years with Colin Floyd and Matt Broski, who just got drafted in the 8th round. And that brings me to this point, bringing on Colin Floyd to your coaching staff, along with Brett Pizzullo, who's another local product from the Poland area. Talk about what those guys mean to this program and what kind of roles they're going to have in the 2023 season.
Yeah, anytime you can bring back, Colin, players that have had great careers here, and he did it the right way, worked extremely hard, was a great leader for us, and I think his experience here and his overall just attitude, it's really helped. Helped our pitching staff. He's worked really primarily with the pitchers. I think him and Shane do a great job of, Shane's been phenomenal since he's been here. Really helped our pitching staff grow and develop, and obviously having two back-to-back Horizon League pitchers of the year is something pretty special. So, but I think that they mix well, and Colin can kind of use his experience here as a pitcher to help them, and especially some of the younger guys, get acclimated and understand what's going to happen. And then this is the first time we've really had two people, doing the pitching. So having a guy in the bullpen, having Colin down there to be able to work with those guys to make sure they're preparing properly and not, over, wasting all their bullets in the bullpen for the young guys, especially, just kind of getting that routine, and also his strength and conditioning background helps a lot too, for him to be able to, help with that conditioning and the stretching and the pre-throw and all those things. He's done a great job with that. And Brett's been instrumental for us, just, being able to have another set of eyes on things, and, his experience, and he really understands, the aspects of hitting. Eric Bennell does a great job with our hitters, and for all three of us to kind of work together to kind of create a new kind of system and how we're doing things, and just constantly trying to improve, and for him to be able to kind of analyze the film and the swings, and I think it's just been really, really special. And we've been friends for, best friends probably since we were 6 years old. So, to have another person on staff that you can really lean on and trust, it's been really special.
Talk about Colin Floyd and his strength and conditioning background. I've never seen somebody treat his body so well before a game. This guy used to bring a full cooler of chicken and rice, and he was like the team chef. Everybody would come into the room. He would put chicken and rice in a bowl, stir it up, and he'd heat it up because he valued his nutrition before games. And I hope we get to see that again.
He still does. He's in bulking season right now, so he's the biggest I've ever seen him. He's probably 8, just physical, and he's going to cut down to, I think 250, but he's a big hoss, and I think it helps our players. He's going to be in charge of the nutrition and some of the stuff on the road. So, just making sure our players are adequately being fed and what they need, and looking forward to that. But yeah, I'm sure he'll still bring his rice cooker and the 50-pound bag of rice on the road and making meals and doing all that. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's a new group this season, a lot of new faces and fresh arms we're going to see because 3 out of your 4 of the starters last year have departed on. So, there's going to be a lot of new faces in the starting rotation. You mentioned a lot of them in the intro. How important do you think it is for them to get a lot of activity in this first weekend? It's a 4-game series. It's going to be a long weekend between Illinois and Wake Forest. So getting a lot of those guys that might not have played at the Division I level coming in, how important do you think that is to get them involved early in the series?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mikos and Lane and Perez, those guys, and Travis, those guys have all pitched at this level. So they kind of understand it's going to be a little bit different for some of them, just increased roles, and you're going to lean on those guys a little bit more. But yeah, for some of the young guys and maybe some of the guys that didn't pitch as much last year, for them to get opportunities just to get their feet wet. I think Aiden English is a guy that's going to be pretty good for us. And especially, I think he's going to have a bright, future here. And for him to get some opportunities to get in there, and as freshmen, there's some ups and downs, and for them to experience both sides of that so they can learn and grow. And each time they get out there, it's an opportunity for them to learn something and gain that experience and continue to get better and better. So I think our sophomore class and our junior class, those guys have really taken that experience that they've gotten over the last couple of years, and now adding it to their repertoire, and it's only made them better. And from a position player standpoint, we're probably not going to have a ton of young guys playing a lot. I would say Matt Thompson's a guy that's going to get a lot of playing time. He'll probably start the year at second base. Him and Clay Weasen's another young guy that I think will play some as a freshman. And then behind the dish, we got a couple new players to the group. You're going to have Eddie Saucedo. You have Ian Francis got some good playing time last year, and now he'll have a much more expanded role as a starter. Jack Johnson's going to get some opportunities. I think he's done a nice job. So we'll have a couple new faces, but the rest of those groups are some older guys. Even RJ Sherwood will be in right field, and he's a 4th-year player. So those guys are going to be older, with Chase and Andre Good and Turner Graw, Braden O'Shaughnessy, Trey Law, Steve DeSanio, Pat. Those guys have all been in college for 4 years. So, there's a lot of experience returning out there.
Last question before we let you go. We know you got practice coming up in about 50 minutes or so you got to get on the road. I was doing a stat earlier. Illinois, as long as your squad, have kind of a similarity. They have recruited locally in the state of Illinois for a long time. 31 out of their 36 players are from that state, and you're the same way. You have dominated the northeastern Ohio area, western Pennsylvania area around Youngstown. How important is it for you to recruit a lot of local products? I mean, you see with the O'Shaughnessy brothers from Poland. You got Kenny Missick from Austintown, Weeson that you just recruited. He's from Hickory in Pennsylvania. Thompson from Wadsworth. List goes on and on. They're all from, around this area. How important is that for you and your coaching staff to go out there and recruit local talent?
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely important for us. That was the staple. If you go back to my opening press conference, when I got the job here. It was, we're going to recruit here locally, and it wasn't just lip service. It was, that was something that's important to us, is to really focus on getting the best players from our area to represent Youngstown State. If you look on our roster, I think we've done a great job of that. Getting some of the best, if not the best, players out of every class. Since we got here, and it started a little bit. I think Trey Pancake's a guy that was a local guy that came back from Ohio State to play here, and we have Brandon Mikos and Lane Rhodes, and the list goes on and on, as you said. Kenny and Bray and Pat, and so that's important to us. We really, really want those guys. I think it just means just a little bit more for them when you're playing here. But, it builds that chemistry that, when they've played together or played against each other for long periods of time. Most of these guys cross paths in the summer. That's been our main focus is to build our core here locally, and then go ahead and go out and expand a little bit to bring in some of those guys to fill the needs, whether it's junior college, whether it's high school. Whether it's, occasionally a transfer, we go a little bit outside, but for the most part, our guys are recruited in 100-mile radius of Youngstown, and but I said, I'll take a great player from Alaska if that's what it comes down to it. It doesn't really matter, but for the most part, that's kind of where our bread and butter's been. The here in Western Pennsylvania has been really good to us.
Berto, we appreciate your time. Big weekend coming up. Illinois, Wake Forest in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We'll have the coverage on YSN. Good luck to you and your squad. Friday, first pitch at noon. Follow that up at 4 o'clock. It's going to be a fun day of baseball for the Youngstown State Penguins. And as always, we appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, sounds good. See you soon.
All right, later.